Hi, welcome to Route 66, and we are on day number 8. As we're reading through the Bible, we're just beginning. We're still in the book of Genesis, but it's going to be really good. 2 chapters today, Genesis chapter 24 and chapter 25. I want to just give you a little bit of summary about what you're going to read. Genesis chapter 24, we find out that Abraham needs to find a wife for his son Isaac. And so there's nobody in the area. They're all pagans. And so he sends his servant to go find somebody for his son. It's the matchmaker. And it's a great story about how his servant asking God to guide him and lead him. And God leads him in a miraculous way to Rebekah. It's a great love story. Finds that has a servant's heart. She's willing to care. She's generous. She's kind. And I don't know how this came about, but he says, hey, God led me to you. Will you marry my master's son? And she says yes, and she agrees, and they return back to Canaan, and they end up getting married. And it's a great way to end the story there, but it doesn't end there. Genesis chapter 25, we find Abraham's death. And just like the burial plot that was where Sarah was buried, that's where Abraham was buried. We do find that he married again, had some more children, but the promise that God had given was still through his son Isaac. Abraham was 175 years old, buried next to Sarah. And then we find in Genesis chapter 25 the birth of Esau and Jacob. Esau and Jacob were twins. And so they gave birth. Isaac's son Esau would serve the younger son Jacob, and there's going to be an animosity toward them for most of their life. Sadly to say, it happens in some families. Isaac loved Esau. Rebekah favored Jacob, and that caused some problems. And it started off where there was a birthright. When you were the oldest, there were some special privileges that came to you. And so Esau was hungry. He came in, met Jacob. He felt like he was going to die. Jacob tricked him. Jacob swindled him and saying, you know what, I'll give you this food if you give me the birthright. And he says, what good is the birthright going to do me if I die? You'll get it anyway. So he sold him the birthright. And that just began a downward spiral of their relationship. Boy, families can have a lot of personality problems, and this family surely did. And yet, some lessons that we can learn here. Number one, God will guide us. When we ask him, God will guide us. God guided the servant to find the right woman for Isaac, and they got married, and everything worked out. And so we can just pray when we need some guidance for God to give us some direction. Pray and ask God to help us as we go. Another lesson is God has a plan. God had a plan for Jacob, God had a plan for Esau, and God has a plan for you. We don't always know what it is, but God is working his plan in our life. The best thing for us to do is be pliable and be willing to do whatever he wants. Our purpose needs to follow his purpose, and we'll find blessing, and that'll be a great thing. Another lesson is the value of responsibility. I don't know that Esau appreciated the birthright. He was willing to sell it for a soup, some stew. And sometimes we make some decisions that aren't quite wise. And that one wasn't for him, but that's kind of the way he lived his life. He didn't value the responsibility that was given him. And God has given us responsibilities, and we need to take those very seriously. Another lesson is about family. Family is so important. And when everything's going right in the family, boy, doesn't that make everything else go well? But when family life isn't good, nothing can replace it. So a good thing for us to all to do maybe today is, as we hear of their family, Isaac and Rebekah and Esau and Jacob, pray for our family, for our children. If you have grandchildren, your grandchildren, pray that God would help our families be united, be together, to love and care for each other. It's a great thing to have happen. So great reading today. Just 2 chapters, but they're fairly long. So enjoy the reading today. God bless you as you spend time in God's Word.